Hey, good morning. Here in a little bit, I'm going to take you up this hill and show you a majestic saguaro cactus. My favorite one in the millions they have out here in the Sonoran Desert. In that video, I don't really mention one aspect of them that I think it's important to know, and that is when they transplant a saguaro, when they move one from one area to another, it's a very delicate process. They have to bring out a big flatbed truck because these things are like 60, 70, 80 feet tall in many cases. They have to lay the saguaro on its side at like a 45-degree angle, and they build this kind of structure of wood underneath and then put carpet and foam down because as big and majestic as a saguaro is, it's very heavy. And under its own weight, it very often will lose an arm or break in half. It has a nice skeletal structure, but it's just not enough. So when they move them, they have to delicately lean them over, place them on this structure of foam and padding, and then take them and then replant them. And I'll give you more information about that. On a business note, recently I was off Facebook and Instagram because they're the same company. It's on Instagram and Facebook that I post the fact that I have a new video. I could still post videos to YouTube, but I couldn't announce the new video on Facebook or Instagram. So that's a good reason to subscribe to these videos, like them. By the way, I'm pushing 1,000 likes, and I just started this just a few weeks ago. So, like it if you would, and subscribe if you would, because all that does, it doesn't cost anything. When you subscribe, it merely puts you in the queue to get a notice that there's a new video to take a look at. You can ignore it or watch the new video. But if for any reason I lose Facebook and I lose Instagram, I will not be able to tell you when there's a new video. You'll just need to keep checking back. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Let me show you these beautiful creatures on this beautiful morning here in the Sonoran Desert. Look at this beauty. Look how big it is. When I first moved here, and my house is right there. When I first moved here, this wasn't much taller than my head is here. And now it has arms. It had no arms back then. I want to tell you a little bit about these majestic desert dwellers here in the Sonoran Desert. I want to hug it, but you can't because, well, it's got a lot of spikes on it. Okay, here comes the quick information about it. This is a giant, probably 110, 120-year-old saguaro. All right, hang on, coming back. Look at this beauty. Look at it. You know, when they get this tall, they're almost a ton in weight. When they fall, which happens sadly too often, when they fall, if anybody's near, it can crush them to death. By the way, a lot of people don't realize that a saguaro is protected. You can't just dig it up and move it to your house and put it in your front yard. It has to be registered. It gets a little tag attached to it that says, this saguaro was moved legally. And when you move a saguaro, by the way, and it does happen because a lot of times when they have building construction out here in the desert and stuff, they have to go in and move all of these carefully to a plot and plant them, build their houses, and then move the plants back. But when they're moved, they have to be facing the same way. For example, that's the east, and the skin on this side is a different thickness than the skin on the other side. So when you transplant one of these saguaros, you have to make sure you put it in the same compass directions as you took it out of the ground. Now this one has about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 or 9 arms on it. When I moved here a little over 20 years ago, it didn't have any arms whatsoever. None. And it usually has to grow for about, 70, 75 years or so before it gets its first arm. So when I moved in 20 some odd years ago, it was already an old man, as old as I am now. Now it has all of these arms. It's gigantic. Cactus wrens make holes in them and live there. Unfortunately, lightning often hits them. I was on a trip across the country a couple of years ago, and I stopped at a diner like in Tennessee or or somewhere like that, Arkansas. And I was having breakfast, and these two women traveling together were next to me, and they told me they were on their way to Arizona. And I said, well, I live there. I'm going back home right now. And they said, well, we're just going to Arizona because we want to see one of these. And I told them all the wonderful stuff about saguaro cactus. They have complete forests of them here, out to the west, out toward the east, where you can walk in, and they're thick as pine trees in a mountain forest, these saguaros. Here, they just grow wild. And by the way, you see some in the background here that have no arms yet, so they're relatively young. You also can see some of them poking up over the top of bushes and stuff over here. Here's one. I'm going to show it to you. Hang on. Here we go. Hold on. I'm going to wheel it around here, and you're going to be able to see this one right. Let's see if I can get it right. Right there. See it? See it poking up? Now, saguaros very often start underneath what they call a nurse bush, like a mesquite, or in this case, a palo verde. And those saguaros push up through the ground. They're very delicate. They push up, and this one is probably at least 30 years old. It's just peeking over the top of that bush. We didn't even see it there when we first moved in 20 years ago, but now, look at it. And someday, it'll be as big as this big boy here. Sadly, lightning does hit them. And when it does, it kind of starts to make them rot. Parts of the skin go on living for a long time, some arms and stuff. Eventually, they die. Inside the saguaro is this very elaborate skeletal structure. If I could find one like that, I would show it to you. I'll try to find a picture and include it. But you could just literally see the ribs inside the saguaro. Now, I said cactus wrens make nests, put holes in this one. This one actually has a nest of one up there. And they've also taken pictures of wildcats. Wildcats roam out here wild. Deer, wildcats, javelina. And the wildcats, how they do it, I don't know, but they crawl up and they sit in those upper arms, like this. And by the way, as a last note here, you can't make a fake saguaro. Hollywood tried for years. Hollywood, would have a Western, and there'd be in the background behind the cowboys and stuff, a saguaro. It was like this. And if you looked over a little ways away, there was another saguaro. It was like this. You just can't, you can tell a fake saguaro. They have kind of a, by the way, you might have seen it, but they have kind of a calloused kind of base to them. And the base is actually narrower. Out here, too, every now and then they'll put up a tall cell tower, and they then cover it to look like a saguaro. We all know they're fake. Anyway, I'll get up close to this one a little bit with the camera so you can see, and then I'll call it a day. Look at that. See the calloused part? Then we climb up and up and up and up and up, and it reaches into the sky. And if you look all around me here, there are hundreds and hundreds of saguaros all up this hillside. They're beautiful, aren't they? Take care. Have a good day. Bye now.